Order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Our first order of business is to go into non-public session for A and K. Make a motion. Second. And we have Karen with us on Zoom. So Karen, how do you vote? Oh, can you unmute her for just a moment?
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Shelley? Any yes? Alethea?
Sorry, yeah.
We will be back. Okay, so anybody needs Karen?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Any questions or concerns or changes for the minutes?
No. Karen.
All right. Hearing none, all in favor? Karen?
Karen, yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Kevin, yes.
Jenny, yes. Leslie, yes.
Sarah, yes.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the personnel list, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Any thoughts, concerns, or changes? Seeing none. Karen?
Yes.
Kevin,
Jenny, yes. Leslie, yes.
Sarah, yes.
All right, thank you. We have a request for a trip to Panama from our Spanish class.
Time to shine. Oh, Panama, I thought it was Portugal.
Okay, now
Now I understand. I was like, that's why everybody was like Portugal.
Well, you have
What
to
are you
speak
talking
Portuguese,
about?
so
and that's what Spanish.
if you want to offer more languages.
Maybe I
that's
should
cool.
go, just so.
I've done
One of
the,
these trips I'm getting on, I'm telling you.
it's open if you're like related and want to do the background check and all that fun stuff.
I can't get the kid to take one of your courses.
That's too bad, because we do have parents go. We've had parents go on every trip we've done.
Maybe the daughter will do it.
Fingers crossed. So this is like the very short and sweet version, because usually I print out like the whole slideshow and then you guys are like, yeah, we know that you're fine. And so I did the expedited version, which is basically during April break. We're going to Panama, hopefully next year. Lots of fun things, pineapples, waterfalls, zip lining, the whole 9 yards. And it's through Explorica, which is who we've done the last bunch of trips with. And I have haggled their price down to be $299.9, which is good through May 10th, which is why I was like, I need to get on this agenda because they won't hold the prices. And I had already like talked them down like $400. So
Well done.
I'm like, I need to get on the agenda before it goes up. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
How many students do we have enrolled in Spanish? Just your speech read Spanish. Class
So-
students, or doesn't have to be.
They have to be in level 2, at least in Spanish. Spanish is complicated because you guys know that we hired a Spanish teacher in January. As a result, we had canceled all but the one class that fit my prep. So that I could teach it, so we meet the standard minimum like rules for language education. So in Spanish right now, there are 19 students in Spanish 1, and that's the only class offered. I made a Google Classroom and invited all the kids that would be eligible that I knew about, which was more challenging than one would think. And there's 40 kids that are interested in the trip. Now, do I think all 40 are going to go? Absolutely not, because their parents are gonna be like, what do you mean you want to spend $3,000? But the company does monthly payments, so it's like around $260 a month if they sign up right away. And then that can make it more affordable.
I tell you, my kids have been all over the world and I have never left the country. Well, I've gone to Canada and to Mexico, but you know.
There are adults only trips, like I have a friend who's a Spanish teacher up at White Mountain. And she runs adult only trips and she has one going to Machu Picchu.
No, I'm not interested in that. No, I don't wanna go
So
with
you guys really
all
want-
adults.
We could have bring them to work retreat if you wanted.
That would require me to socialize.
I can help you guys plan a board retreat if you want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Happy's the lake.
It's still, I think that, I was gonna say that's a step up from chicken salad, too. Just saying.
Well, it depends on what kind of food you like. We will be having rice and beans at every meal. And plantains for dessert.
Yep. That works.
Waffle and ice cream.
All right, so seeing no questions or any other concerns?
Hey, listen, I have a question. This is Karen. I'm just curious, like, do you have teachers identified who will assist with staffing this?
So I'm Rebecca Forking, I'm the French teacher, world language department chair, the whole kit and caboodle. I would be going and then the Spanish teacher would be going. And then after that, we look at who's qualified and I invite teachers to chaperone or parents to chaperone on that basis. So like the last trip to Quebec, Nick Belsky came with us because we did a lot of history stuff. We went to France and Spain, Rachel Anderson went because she's a minor in French. So it kind of goes from there. So it'd be me and the Spanish teacher, and then every 6 students is when we add another chaperone. So it's easy to keep groups together at like the airport and stuff. So
Right.
TBD besides me and the Spanish teacher.
And with my own experience with Explorica, they have a tour guide that is always with you.
Yes.
As well as security in the hotel and things like that.
There's security in the hotel, not for this trip. Security in the hotel is only when you travel with them in North America.
Oh,
So we tape the rooms and I videotape all the tape. And then when the tape is different in the morning, I will be calling and sending children home. They don't
And-
usually do. Go ahead.
Sorry, just another question. Is planned for 6 days, so 2 of those days are just travel, is that correct? And 4 days there?
It's 7 days. The first day and the last day are traveling days.
Right.
And depending on when the flights and stuff are, the tour director that's with us the whole time usually adds stuff in. So like if we ended up with a morning flight for whatever reason, they would let us add things in the night that are usually free. So when we went to Canada a couple months ago, the tour guide that was there knew about 2 free museums we could go to that were free. And so because we had a little bit more time, because we didn't get caught in a snowstorm, we were able to go to see 2 more free museums because we were just able to add that in.
That's great. Thank you. What a wonderful opportunity for the kids.
Thank you. That's what we do. Opportunities in the world language department.
Love it.
It's been, we are so happy.
Thank you. I try really hard.
We know you do and it's appreciated. Please know that.
Since I'm pitching September 13th, Fall Mountain Food Truck Festival. Tickets go on sale Thursday.
Oh, you have to have a ticket to come up?
Oh, yeah. It's a fundraiser for the class of 2027. Mm-hmm. You can also be a community sponsor if you want. It starts at $25.
Oh, well, maybe. I might be.
Yeah, the Fall Mountain School Board sponsored.
So make a motion to approve the overnight request to Panama, April 2026.
I second that.
all right. Any other discussion?
I'm assuming they have some type of timely communication if world politics changes. And
Oh, yes.
travel advisory. I checked today, there's some obscure virus, so just, I guess don't lick anything on your time now, but if something
Or
changes.
because the kids like to pet stray dogs.
Oh.
No, it's the
There's bigger
guates,
problems
and they're
in
like,
Canada
the
with stray
guates, and we're like, no, it's the guates.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's the stray dog name in Costa Rica. Anyway, if things change, there are options, so parents can sign up for various levels of insurance. Up to getting basically everything back.
Okay.
If it was something that was like affecting the whole trip, we can move the trip's location, we can move the timeline, and it can be moderately flexible.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
It's as good as the world gets, moderately flexible. That's
That-
fair.
That's why I use the companies,
Yeah.
because I've worked with
Nothing
them.
moderate right now.
And so other teachers have moved things around, I know in the past, or like partnering with another school and things like that,
Nice.
so.
Well, have fun.
Yeah.
All right, motion on the table. Karen, how do you vote?
Absolutely, yes.
Kevin?
Kevin, yes.
Any yes?
Liz, yes.
Sarah, yes?
Have a good time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
I'll take a pineapple. You can bring one back.
I went,
Wow.
Don't get stuck. Corey, we have you to present to us a budget transfer for Charlestown Middle School.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I am looking at my school's data. This is my third year here, and you've noticed in my last several board reports the different types of data I've shared with the board and the public regarding the changes we've implemented in Charlestown Middle School and the results of those changes. So the first year here, I really was just taking time to listen and understand about the community, the culture, the climate of the building, where things were working, where things didn't feel like they were working, and then worked with the community, the staff, the students, the parents, the board, and others to develop a plan to address the behavior first in the building. And I think it was my last board report, I shared the trimester 2 of last year versus trimester 2 of this year behavioral data. The new system we've implemented year over year, we reduced our total incident referrals by 53+% and our progression of referrals. So the first time we're having that corrective conversation with the student, it's stopping the behavior or reducing the continuation or repetitiveness of behavior. So we reduced the progression of those by 73% and change. And so that system has certainly made an impact on our building. And now it's time for us to shift more heavily toward addressing academic concerns. With that, the iReady data from fall of this year to winter of this year revealed that we have about 29+% of our students who basically made zero growth or they went backwards. So many of those students were those who are already at or above grade level, but they're not growing in as measured by that particular assessment the way we would expect them to. We have another third of our students, however, who are making tremendous growth, 200-300% growth. And that's great to see, but we can't have a third of our kids not growing, not learning in our building. It's not who we are, what we want to be. And so looking at that data revealed that, we have one particular 8th grade classroom, for instance, who have students in that classroom measuring at the 2nd grade reading level all the way up to the 10th grade reading level sitting in the same classroom. And that disparity in ability is huge. It's representative of the disparity in ability across all of our classrooms. And, you compare that to 64% of my teaching staff took an alternative pathway to become certified in the area in which they're teaching, and all but 2 of my teachers are new to their content or their grade level or their role within the last 5 years. So we are asking a lot of folks to try to make tremendous headway with 19 kids on the 2nd to 10th grade level in one class in 40 minutes in ELA and math. And so that's a struggle. And we have a plan of shifting how we do business a little bit for next year. Grouping students in a way for ELA and math that reduces that wide discrepancy in ability in that one area and helps to sort of differentiate and target instruction a little bit better to meet kids where they are, to help them grow from where they are. And so we had a math interventionist position this year that we were able to implement, and the intervention has been great and it's much needed, but I think the model in and of itself is a little bit more than just one interventionist can support. So, if you think about blowing a 20-foot hole in the Hoover Dam and then trying to plug it with your finger, that's sometimes what it feels like we're trying to do. And so I'd like to trade the interventionist position for an actual math teacher. And then also, if we change how we schedule kids into classes, then we can have a shift in our staffing needs as well and reduce the total number of paras we need, and trade essentially 3 paraeducator positions for another math teacher position. So then I would have an ELA and a math teacher for each grade level who can really provide more targeted instruction where kids are at, allow for flexibility as kids grow and acquire skills. They can be met by the same teacher who knows the entire continuum for that particular grade level. As they need reinforcement in certain skills, they can get that from that same teacher, and it reduces not only the total number of staffing heads in our building, but provides students with a more differentiated experience in their learning for ELA and math. And we have a person retiring, a person who is going back to a teaching position, and we have a vacant position. So this all can be done within the current budget and without eliminating any existing staff members, and provide a better, more targeted experience for our kids to help, get them up to speed where they need to be so they can be successful. Because right now I have staff and students all going home at the end of the day, feeling frustrated for different reasons, because either what they're trying to learn is something that they already know and they're not being appropriately challenged, or what they're trying to learn is so far above where their current skill set is that they're struggling to access it. So really looking at how do we redefine how we're providing that instruction in ELA and math to help close those gaps and get them to a place where they can enter the high school successfully in a credit-bearing course. Because I don't feel I can say that we are doing that right now, but we need to be. So that's my ask of the board, is to, remain budget neutral, switch positions out, reduce the total number of staff in the building, provide a more targeted experience for kids that better meets their needs at a level that's more appropriate for where their learning is at. And I anticipate that we will see overall a much better outcome in academic performance, as well as a few other factors. So I don't know if folks have questions or not, but I'm happy to address any of those.
I have a quick question. On the 3 paras for 1 teacher deal that you've got going on, aren't the paras assigned based on IEP needs as well?
They are absolutely assigned based on IEP needs, but they are assigned based on IEP needs because of not having, they need para support in an ELA class. Well, if they have a student with an IEP who requires para support in an ELA class, and now that ELA class is co-taught between a special education teacher and a regular education teacher who both receive additional specialized instruction in either, on the ELA side, I'm looking at Orton Gillingham training, which is, a different approach of how to teach reading, or on the math side, we're looking at bringing in OGAP training, which is something we've done in the district. We've hosted in the district for a number of years, and looking at the ensuring that all of my teachers are able to take the additive reasoning course, so that they have the skills necessary to teach students who aren't learning those things in a traditional classroom, traditional manner. So it would require some amendments to IEPs because that para support wouldn't be necessary in those classes. And by doing that, I also don't have the same need for para support potentially in other classes. So if a student, whether they have an IEP or not, is really strong in math, you know, maybe they are identified in another area, but they're really strong in math, they may no longer need para support in there, and the other students may not need para support in there. And so theoretically, you know, looking at the actual children we have, what their individual needs are, and our staffing and our building model, and looking to actually completely change our schedule for next year to accommodate this too. Right, you know, early on, it looks like we can reduce 8 sections of para support in ELA and math, or in ELA, and an additional 8 sections of para support in math. So I think we'll still be able to meet those IEP needs because we'll be able to adjust things a little bit differently.
Thank you.
So, just real quick. When we came out of COVID and Corey took over, the Charlestown Middle School was faced with a lot of challenges, and yeah, just a lot. In the report that she just did a month ago, I think it was a month ago, with the gains that she's made, and overall teacher satisfaction, just working there in general. There's always concerns when you take paras away, you know, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, how can I do a 3-for-1? But at the same time, the only one that truly knows what those students need are the teachers and Corey. And if her staff and Corey have come together, and I'm assuming they discussed this with Deb, and everybody is on board with it, I think we gotta trust the process. That I think we've seen gains at that school, so I think we can trust the people that are running it and really in there day to day. So whatever you need, Corey.
I make a motion to approve the budget transfer to CMS.
Second.
All right. Now, are there any other questions for Corey regarding this proposal?
I have some questions.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
So just to clarify, Corey, and I appreciate your report today. Are you talking about, you mentioned an interventionist? Is that one position at your school that would go away in addition to the 3 paras?
Yes, correct. So we would take the, right now it's an academic interventionist position, and that position would be switched out for a math teacher. So currently I have 2 math teachers in the building for 5 through 8 plus an interventionist. And so instead of that, I would have 3 math teachers if I trade the interventionist position, and then 4 if we also then take the para positions that are either going to be, well, they're all going to be unfilled at the moment, and trade those in for a math teacher as well.
So the interventionist, there won't be another, there are no other interventionists. You just have the one, and you'll lose that position for a math teacher.
Correct. Yep. We will lose that position, but we are looking at how to change our, our flex time during the middle of the day. We also are looking at an AB day schedule, for instance, that gives us a block of time. One, it gives us slightly longer class periods every day. So instead of the 45 minutes now, we'll have 50 minutes. And some people might think, well, it's only 5 minutes longer. It can make a pretty significant difference when you're thinking about the transitions in and out and such. And then we'd have an enrichment block at the end of every other day. So in a 2-week cycle, you'll have 5 enrichment blocks. 2 of those will be academic focused and kind of split blocks. So if I need additional support in number sense and operations and really building my fact fluency, I might be spending 25 minutes engaged with a staff member playing, the shut the box game, or working with manipulatives to group and regroup numbers as I'm adding and subtracting or multiplying and dividing. Those types of things during that time. And the other 25 minutes, if I need support with vocabulary, I could be doing some vocabulary skill work in that short time. And then two of those blocks in a 2-week period would remain similar to what we do now with our enrichment model, because that's tied to our tier 1 behavior model. And that's where we've been able to offer things like guitar lessons, and we've done, gosh, everything is blanking on me right
That's
now.
okay.
I know one of the new rounds is like terrarium. So
That's
it really
okay.
gives us greater flexibility in different ways to approach the intervention than what we're doing now, because it doesn't feel, I don't have data to support that the model that we're using now is really supporting the kids the way we need to support them.
Thank you for that. Would it be reasonable for the children that will be affected that are on IEPs to have the maybe Xandra or the special ed department, and to meet with the parents and talk as a team to say, here's your specific child's needs, and here's what we're proposing to do to make sure we have their buy-in?
So Xandra and I have met around this topic a number of times, and she's been part of, a thought partner through this transition to coming up with what is this model going to look like? How is it going to look? How are we going to execute it and support it? Talked also with the fellow middle school administrators to what are they doing in their schools? What are we going to do in ours? And, looking at ways to leverage our grant funding to support the training necessary for not only my staff, but staff across the district. So all kids are going to be affected. It's not just students with IEPs. All kids in my building will be affected, because this is a change in schedule, a change in model, a change in practice for every student in my building. So we absolutely will bring in families into the conversation and let them know how we're shifting. The handful of families I've had an opportunity to chat with thus far have been nothing but supportive of the idea, because they know when their kids are struggling too, and nobody wants kids to struggle unsupported, right? Cognitive struggle is a good thing, but we don't want kids to just struggle for the sake of struggling. And so we'll bring folks into the conversation all along the way.
Yeah, I just know, for IEPs, I know everybody is aware of this. I mean, there's certain legal requirements that we have to be met, versus, before we can make changes to their IEP. So that's why I was suggesting, that we make sure that we have everyone's buy-in and agreement on it.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess I'm struggling with, I fully support what Corey is saying theoretically. I think that she's incredibly smart and ahead of the game on this. My concern is in voting yes to be supportive of this, which I, again, barring no data in front of me on face value, I think it's also a de facto statement that the board is making that the model that the other schools are working is broken too. And I'm not saying anybody's suggesting that, but if I'm a parent in Walpole, which I just happen to be, and I'm hearing that Corey's got this fantastic brain, she's looked at the data, she's saying, look, we're not meeting the need. I just want the board to be aware that with a tiny bit of critical thinking from people on the rest of the district, that if this is such a great idea, which it absolutely sounds like, is this something the board is gonna be pursuing in terms of fashioning this as an expectation for all the administrators? Because there's nothing inherently different about kids in Charlestown, you know what I'm saying? So I just want us to be real.
I don't take this as a program change. I take
I
this
fundamentally hear that.
as what Corey is in need of in her building. So it's similar to when Walpole comes to us and says they want
Anybody comes.
these types of setups in their school. I think Kevin has done the same thing in Violet's, like,
Yeah.
all right, here are the needs for the kids, but also what is my staff capable of and what can they sustain? So whatever Corey, I won't even say Corey, whatever Charlestown Middle School is going through right now, doesn't mean that it wouldn't, I don't know if that would absolutely work in Violet's. Because every teacher is different, every style of teaching is different, the years of experience they have, whether or not in their budget they have an interventionalist, or how many every school has different paras, every school has different interventionalists, and the high school is, then the high school is way different. So I'm not necessarily looking at this as like Xandra's program, like the STEP program or the focus program where it's open for every student. This is supports that I think Corey is just as Justin has done with us and just like Kevin has done with us. Corey's coming to us to say, listen, my staff and students and the makeup of this school is such that we need to pivot a little bit in order to be successful. And I think we have done that in the past.
If I could add
I'm sorry.
that, when Cora first came to me with this, I asked her to visit with the other middle school principals. Just for another perspective, but from what I've observed by being in schools and with talking to the other two principals, they have already done this. And so Corey now is at the stage where she can do something very similar. The numbers of children who are identified in special education in Walpole has dropped considerably because of doing these kinds of things. So I think what you're seeing is not the beginning of it. I think what you're seeing with Corey coming around is now her putting in place the kinds of things that had been able to be put in place in the other schools.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And she had to focus, a year and a half on behavioral issues.
Exactly.
Because the behavioral issues were so intense inside that school that it was taking away from the education piece.
Right.
So getting that under control and then being able to pivot, I think is remarkable in the small amount of time that the kids have done it.
So does the special ed department, they're in agreement with this?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Any other questions, Sarah? Do you have anything on this?
I have a couple more. Sorry.
I'm always a little bit hesitant about, it's important for us to, provide services, through paraprofessional, through the paraprofessionals. They're a very important part of our provision of education for our kids. I want us to always keep in mind that we want to make sure that we're giving proper training. We want to, just having a paraprofessional is not just throwing more paraprofessionals is not the answer. Really looking at the training that people are getting, the recognition that they're getting. All of those things are really, really important because they are the glue that holds things together, and we want to make sure that we don't have too much glue because it'll squeeze out the sides and not be useful. But we have the right amount and that it's of the right strength. So if that is a good analogy. But I know that, when I was over in Springfield Way, the principals implemented a plan of regular education, providing a paraeducator in every classroom that was not specifically, they would take on, we kind of split up their cost based on if they had special needs students in the classroom that needed them, it was a headache for poor Steve, but, it would split costs, but they were regular ed paraprofessionals, so, and it worked very well, but it also greatly increased our number of paraprofessionals, and so we had to be very careful to make sure that that was justified. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not suggesting we just throw parents around, sprinkle them, but I think that's a good distinction. Yeah.
It can be quite helpful to have another set of hands.
Karen, did you want to ask your question?
Yes, so I guess for me personally, I would like more information to better understand this, such as the structure of the other middle schools and exactly, what's working for them and maybe what's not working for them. Are they seeing the same sort of test results or the same struggles in LEA and math? Or has that declined significantly since they restructured? Also, what is the impact on Charlestown's budget? On the budget for this change in personnel, and what is also the impact on special education for kids who do have IEPs?
So I can address some of those, maybe all three of those. First, in terms of the budget implications, there would be no budget impact for the 25-26 school year. If anything, there could be a reduction because the benefits and associated costs with 3 staff members, for instance, with the paraeducators versus 1 staff member, could yield a savings there, and you're also saving on what I call legacy costs. Every headcount increases, as headcount increases, your legacy costs increase as an organization. And so if you're going to reduce headcount on the staffing side of things, then you're also reducing legacy costs that you have to fund year over year over year. And so from a budgetary standpoint, it's essentially net neutral for 25-26, and then we'd look beyond that as we get there and see what the data says in terms of student performance and use that information as we're preparing for the 26-27 budget. With that, when you think about the other 2 middle schools, Justin, Kevin, and I discuss and meet regularly. All 3 of our models are different. All 3 of our models, we work hard to ensure that our buildings meet the needs of our populations, and our populations are not all of the same. We all, I think, are working toward the same goal, trying to get up the top of Fall Mountain, but we're not all starting from the same base camp. And so we need to, we all know where we're headed, but we all might have a different path to get there based on even such simple things as I have 0 extra classrooms in my building, 0 extra space. And, that's not the same in the other 2 buildings. Or how we create a daily or weekly schedule is not the same between the 3 of us. So we already have that variability built in, but we communicate regularly to figure out what our common goals, our common objectives are, and how we're going to meet them. There are already data, if you were just looking at that one particular data point, is the Vilas and the Walpole IRA data is stronger than CMS data all day long. Stronger in math, stronger in ELA across the board. We've made gains, but not even close when it comes to overall academic performance. And so we need to do something different in our building than what we've always done, and if we're going to have any chance in closing that gap for kids and getting them up to a place where they can be competent, functioning members of our of our society. In terms of special education, like I said, Xander and I have been talking about this process all the way through. And we'll continue to talk about this process throughout the implementation and shifts and changes that we've made. I'm familiar with and understand and know the laws within which I am working, and am confident that we will maintain the integrity of every child's IEP and get their needs met better than we are now with shifting how we do business. And so I don't think of it so much as a programmatic change. It's just allocating the resources we already have in a manner that is going to be more productive for kids actually learning something, and targeting how we are approaching things in some areas. Much of what we're doing is not changing at all. But we already have built-in discrepancies between the three buildings, and the three of us are working to address those in a meaningful manner for the kids that we have, working toward the same goal, not just being carbon copies of each other, because that doesn't necessarily meet kids' needs. And for me, I'm employed to ensure kids learn something, and I am not seeing that with a third of my kids right now. That's a problem.
All right, thank you, Corey.
I move the question.
Heard. Karen, does anybody need the motion read again? Seeing none. Karen, how do you vote?
So, our vote tonight is to support the change in going from 4 employees down to additional 2 math teachers. What we're voting on.
It's to transfer the money from interventionist and paraprofessional lines to teacher lines, and which will then allow the change in the structure. Did I get that correct? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, sorry.
Come back to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Shelley?
Yes.
Jen, yes. Alyssa, yes.
Sarah, yes.
Karen, you have,
No, Karen,
Maybe.
yes, that's fine. I know Corey's a really good teacher, and she like Shelley said, she knows the needs of her school best. And so I'm trusting that this will help those students get up to where they need to be.
thank you. So moved. Thank you for the presentation, Corey. Appreciate all the hard work and all of the research you did to put that together. Looking forward to seeing the results next year.
Yeah, same. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good evening, everyone.
Since we will be losing our quorum shortly, is anybody opposed to taking the software approval? Can we postpone that, or do you need that? Need approval on it?
Can't move forward without talking to you about it, so it's a 5 or 6 month project.
Okay, so,
Needs to start soon.
well, then would it, can we take the suicide prevention handbook update?
Go ahead and.
The policy for JLDBB, the cheer admin agreements, and the Goshen tuition agreements as one fell swoop.
I wanted to, if, madam, I don't know what the procedure is. I wanted to put a motion on the table to table the suicide prevention handbook update so that the board could meet publicly with the school counselors and get their input.
Okay.
Because I think there's opportunity to they're gonna be on the front lines of this. I think we need to hear from them. that I wanted to put that forward.
They've already seen it.
I just asked the Walpole counselor, and I guess they were presented in September.
No, they would have presented, that would have gone to them at a meeting. At a counselor meeting that they had this winter. Through the high school,
Well, I guess I could.
but we could table it. I have no problem with
Okay,
that.
I just have, just as an example, I'm truly not just being difficult, this is my nature. Under section 3, under such measures of strategy, it quotes, encourage to notify appropriate school personnel or other adults. There's a lot of really vague, there are very strict rules about reporting. There's nothing in there about reporting to the division. To TCYF on some of these issues, and it's very, it talks about. Who the district suicide prevention coordinator is, I don't know who that is. It says each building has a suicide prevention liaison, I don't know what their training is. Sometimes people get appointed to these things and they have great intentions, but suicide's not a straight line.
So if you would, I'm fine with waiting on it.
Yeah.
If you would send me your questions,
Yeah.
I'd like the opportunity to meet with them then.
Okay.
And get some additional input.
Okay.
Um,
I do think there's value in having public discourse on it as well. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I get the efficiency piece. I think that each level of school needs very different things. And also within the policy, I believe it's 6 to 12. I didn't see anything in there for students younger than that.
okay, so it should encompass all
Okay,
grade levels.
yeah,
So
I just saw 6 to
Just
12.
a brief update. We had the NAMI training last Thursday. So we trained 25, about 25 people. One, at least one in every building, in every single department, including the central office. So. No, that was more the update than anything.
Okay.
But
That was just my concern.
we can certainly take it back and do some more work on it.
And if there isn't a second, I would, obviously we just vote on.
Are you looking at the student where it says student identification cards? If I
No.
see the 6, no, okay.
No, but that was specifically called out on the back of the ID, yes, yeah.
That's because I think they're the only ones.
Which, yeah, I understand that,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I had, again, I'm not hearing the second, so we can go ahead and vote on that if the
I'm-
chairman wants to do that.
I'm perfect. I think I would like to withdraw it at this point.
Okay.
Because I think you brought up some good questions.
Yeah.
But if you could send those
Yeah, no,
questions
that's-
to me, that would be wonderful. And then, I think we could do both. Meeting with them first, making sure everything is understandable, etc.
Mhm.
And then I think some kind of a discussion with the board would be good as well.
Are we tabling the handbook and the
Yes.
second read right now?
Well,
Are you
if
looking
we
at-
could update the policy, that would be great. You had, when we had the first reading, you just asked that we put in those things, which we did.
Yeah.
So if we could do that, that would be helpful.
Okay, so let's go back to process.
Yep.
So we really are at transportation software approval. Can we,
The one plus.
yeah, well, can we,
Oh, pull that out, cause I'm not.
no, that's definitely coming out. Lori's got a whole presentation. My concern is that we actually will be losing our forum here in a moment.
Oh, sleeping.
Jenny's,
Can we have you for 5 more minutes?
absolutely,
Okay, thanks.
for Shelley's sake, I'll say.
Oh, the transportation thing's not gonna be resolved tonight.
No, but I just want to get through this, so we've got proper documentation for Misty. So can I have a motion to move transportation software approval to the end of the list?
Yep.
Because we can discuss it even if
Motion.
we're not making a motion, okay? Can I have a second? Second. All right. So this is just to move it down the list so that we can get the other one off the list.
We don't. Aren't we just tabling it until the next meeting?
Because Lori needs to at least get it out so we can start.
Okay.
Even because we have,
You're still talking business though, even if you're not making a motion, you're still talking about school business, it's still a meeting. Sorry.
Do your,
Table, just table me.
I can send you I could send you and Deb my whole issue with this.
Oh, that'd be good.
I can talk after.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
I can give you briefly after, it has nothing to do with you guys.
No,
Can I have a motion to table transportation software approval discussion and the suicide prevention handbook update discussion?
Then the what?
The suicide prevention handbook update.
Oh, I thought that was two, yes, motion.
Second. All right. Karen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we will move that to May 12th. To make it right. Really? Yep.
Send out your questions so you get the answers.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the policy update second read for policy JLDBB?
Motion.
Second. Karen, how do you vote?
I'm sorry, can you say that again, what we're voting on right now?
The second read of policy JLDBB, suicide prevention, which will include the changes we discussed at the last meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I thank you. We appreciate those updates. Is there any discussion? Sorry, can I have a motion to approve the 2-year admin agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Karen?
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Yes,
Sarah, yes.
thank you. And finally, can I have a motion to approve the Goshen 1-year tuition?
Move.
Second.
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
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 Abstain.
All right. Don't start with that. We have no other visitors here. We'll move that forward.
No, they might want to.
No.
They're no longer the public, but they. And just for information, we have given of our first meeting of the month to the withdrawal committee, but there are some things that we do need to discuss. So May 12th, we will be meeting at 5.
There's no way, there's no way.
It's okay. We will get a quorum. And we will.
I'll be here at 5:30, but I can't give.
Okay, understood. So, but we have to get it done, so 5 to 5:30, we will open it as a school board meeting, and then it will close and open as the withdrawal committee.
Okay.
So that was just for information. Is there anything else to come before this board this evening?
Adjourn.
Do I have a second? Second. Karen?
Yes, thank you everyone for letting me join remotely. We're still in Arizona. We're heading up to the Grand Canyon.
Enjoy. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Jenny? Yes. Melissa, yes.
Sarah, yes.
All right, thank you. Sorry, my apologies for rushing that last part. We got a lot done before that.